session? Got a second? Any discussion?
Yes.
All in favor of coming out of the executive session, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, certification of executive session. Whereas the Tazewell Town Council has convened an executive session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas 2.1-344.1 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this council that such executive session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved, the Tazewell Town Council hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the executive session to which the certification resolution applies. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the executive session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Tazewell Town Council. I need a roll call vote to approve the certification. So, Councilmember Catron.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Beasley.
Aye.
Councilmember Hankins.
Aye.
And Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
All right, so resolution certified. So now we're going to skip the work session at this point since our public hearing is supposed to start at 7:15. So we're going to have a quick public hearing on the 2023-2024 budget.
Okay, as stated by the mayor, public hearing on the budget, I'm gonna give you revenues, and I will state prior, expenses do match revenues, but the estimated revenue in the general fund is $7,388,193.67, and again, expenditures do match revenues, they were zeroed out. Water fund, revenue is estimated at $1,861,024.94. It's a repeat of the general fund. Expenses do match revenues. Water fund is $1,462,331. That's a sewer fund, 48 cents. And revenues do match expenditures. The IEDA has an estimated revenue of $32,557.04, and revenues do match expenditures.
Any questions by anyone? When will our vote to approve the budget be?
Next month.
So everything seems to even out, seems
Yeah.
balanced.
Yeah, every budget, every enterprise fund, including your general fund, and business accounts are all balanced.
Does anyone in council have any questions? All right, guess we can close it out and have about 13 minutes before public or council meeting.
Hey, Sean.
Everyone, welcome to this month's town council meeting. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Nate, would you lead us in invocation, please?
Be my privilege. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather, to conduct business, to have voices heard and business discussed. I ask a blessing over our time together tonight, that we walk away united as one community and not as individuals with personal agendas, or that unite us so that the better things for the town can happen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. First is our special presentation or request. So we're going to get a YMCA update by Mr. Sean Durham.
Hey, Sean Durham, I'm here representing the Four Seasons YMCA, and try to get down here at least a couple of times a year, guys, just to say a big thank you to the town of Tazewell, because the YMCA could not exist if it wasn't for the support of this county and this town and all that you continue to do for us. I know Mayor Hoops is at the soccer fields a lot, and very proud to say that we've had more kids in our youth soccer program this summer than we've had in many years. And that followed up right after a very successful basketball season. And more kids, more teams than we've had in many years, and that creates good problems. We don't have space. And the town was kind enough to let us back into the old junior high to run some practices down there because we just cannot facilitate it all at the YMCA. So that goes beyond just saying thank you. I know the parents and the kids all really appreciate that. But the town is always there to help us on so much. Todd, anytime I call on him, and Robin, they're willing to help. This week we had some petitions that we needed more manpower than we have, and the town was very quick to be out there and keep that highway on Route 61. It always looks immaculate, and it's something that we couldn't afford to do, but it sure makes the town of Tazewell look really well when you're driving into town or out of town. So really just here, guys, to say thank you. When probably a month ago I reached out to Robin and asked to be on the agenda, at that point I really had no idea everything that would kind of come to be in the next month. And you guys speaking about a sports complex, and Lord knows I've been asked about that question many times over how that would affect the Y, and really two totally different entities and what we would be providing to this town. And I know a lot of studies and a lot of funds have gone into looking at that, but there was a time when they didn't believe that a YMCA would be successful in this town. And I'm really proud to say that June the 20th, we will have been there 14 years. And could not do it without the town, without this community, without all the support that we have. And the Four Seasons YMCA is now debt-free. And who would have ever thought that there were a lot of folks that said it never would happen. So, and I'm not very involved. I mean, I did a survey, I think, with the folks that did the original study for the sports complex, but I really hope that you really strongly consider what this could mean to this town down the road, because there were a lot of naysayers to the YMCA, and Tazewell, Virginia has the last independent YMCA in the country. YUSA will not, you have to be in an association, you have to be in Richmond or Roanoke where there's 10, 15 YMCAs all going into one pot to support it. So we're very fortunate, very blessed, because a lot of the leaders in the past have had that vision. So please, just my urgence, other than saying thank you so much, please consider that sports complex before you just shelve it and think it couldn't happen here or it wouldn't have that type of impact, because I truly believe it could, and have never seen it as a threat. After the many calls and members and community folks, stopping me to ask, is this going to hurt you guys? They really don't understand the whole concept. So just want to say thank you again. Several of you. The town has a wonderful representative on the Four Seasons YMCA, Representative Dr. Kidzown. He's been there for several years and has been a great representative of the town, but very supportive of the YMCA, and now Joe Beasley is actually on didn't realize I was going to get two people on the county council. I've got to watch that. I can't give the town 2 or 3, 4 seats on my board, but both are great representatives of this town, and you all should be very proud of them, and you should be very proud of everything that you guys do for this town, and just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
So next on the agenda is our Tazewell High School student athletic and academic accomplishments. So if I call your name as I'm reading your accomplishments, if you could come up front here. We do have some little awards. So, and Warren King, you only get one if you're here. Lauren King broke the record for the 3,200, I guess, meter race that has been held by Charity Young-Hurst for 37 years. The new record set by Lauren is 11 minutes, 58 seconds, or, no, how's that? Yeah, whatever.
11 minutes.
Yeah, 11 minutes, 58 seconds, and 72 tenths. Lauren King also won the Class 2A 1,000 meter race in the VHSL Indoor Track State Championship. Abigail Rudy won the Class 2A 500 meter race in the VHSL Indoor Track State Championship. Maddie Day scored her 1,000th career point in her home basketball contest against Marion. Terrence Stiltner and Jaron Reed placed 7th in state DECA competition in business solutions. Karen and Jaden competed in Orlando, Florida during the week of April 22nd through April 26th for the National DECA competition. Tazewell High School FBLA members attended the Virginia FBLA State Leadership Conference in Reston, Virginia. During the Awards of Excellence program held on April 1st, THS FBLA received designation as a Virginia FBLA Honor Chapter. Riley Nunley received 2nd place in International Business. Abigail Rudy received 2nd place in Graphic Design. Ian Rudy received 3rd place in Coding and Programming. And Audrey Brown and Layla Cecil received 5th place in Broadcast Journalism. And then Landry Lalonde broke the former THS record that has been set since 2012 by Casey Adair for the discus field event at the Judy Thomas Invitational with a throw of 133 feet, 3 inches. She also broke the meet record with this throw. Landry also broke the Six Rivers Relay's oldest standing girls record that has been standing for 42 years. The previous record was 134 feet, 9 3/4 inches. The record now held by Landry is 135 feet, 9 1/2 inches.
Speech.
You get goodies, but the best part is live in infamy. Well, how about I get here? Congratulations. It's always good to be able to recognize our high schoolers for academics and athletic accomplishments. Next, new business recognition is Vanessa Williams from Premier Studios here. I didn't think I saw her. Tessa's Precious Paws Salon, Tessa Farrell. Go ahead, tell us what it's about.
Hi, so we opened up in September of last year. We're over on Walnut Street. We are grooming all the fur babies of the community, and we're soon expanding into boarding and grooming as well.
Oh, awesome.
We're happy to be here.
Well, welcome to Townhouse. We have gifts for you too. Thank you so much for choosing us to open your locations. The next is the Box Charc LLC, Tiffany Polly.
I'm here.
Tell us what you have going on.
Yeah, so I was able to open up our one and only charcuterie to go and catering here in town. And we opened up last week. And I'm super thankful that, you know, the town, the community, even surrounding communities have been super supportive. And yeah, I'm just happy to, you know, offer this new culinary experience to Tazewell. And
Where are you located?
Shire Lane, so it's where Smother used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for choosing Town Tazewell. There you go. Should feel good. All right, so was beet noodles supposed to be on there? No, okay. Right. I saw you, and I was like, don't leave anybody out. So next is we need approval of the minutes from the council meeting on April 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approval of minutes from council meeting on April 11th, 2023, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, motion carries. Next is the approval of the financial statements and the financial report from April 2023. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approval of financial statements and financial report from April 2023, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, motion carries. Next is the committee and conference updates. Planning Commission Committee, Councilmember Davis.
We had two individuals come forward at the Planning Commission. One was interested in opening a business in a commercial district. That is actually on the agenda for a little later. And there was also someone that came forward that had put in a special exception permit to open up an Airbnb. And that is also on the agenda a little later.
Okay.
Oh, to forward that up here for a vote.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. All right, thank you. Anything else, any questions? Okay, next we're going to go into the unfinished business. Manager Day is going to give us an update on the fence at Kidzown.
Okay, as each of you were aware, we did a takeoff about a month and a half, 2 months ago on several different types of fences to go around the Kidzown area only, where we put the new playground equipment. Since that time, council was met and wanted me to get pricing on extending that fence to include some of the pine tree area, kind of skirt around a little bigger, so I've done so. And you've got two quotes in there. Both of them are, from what I understand, very reputable. One of them we obviously have experience with the dog park, but one of those costs is $16,600. The other one is $15,000. There's also a material quote in there on the third page that I did, a takeoff for $8,899. And it's just material only. Of course, that's labor. I will caution you on the labor part of that. As David Fox can tell you, we got enough projects on the table right now, but if you want to do wooden, I would respectfully request you after the fall to look at it, if you want to do it, period. So that's all I've got, Mayor. I just need direction on how you want to proceed.
I had talked to Donnie Pruitt about the wood fence, and he indicated that if we went with wood, that it was going to take his guys, like 5 or 6 guys, about 2 weeks to complete it. If you go with a chain link, it'll be over in a couple of days. So there's that. And also, if we have our guys doing all that labor, that pulls them off of projects that we already have going on. He also did mention, because I asked him about the power washing fence, and he said that we couldn't keep up with the work that we have going on right now without adding to it.
So I could say there could be numerous specs. Do you go with wood? Do you go with chain link? Do you approve it overall? I guess the first thing is, would be a motion to move forward with actually putting the fence around the playground.
I'll make a motion to put a fence around the playground.
I second the motion.
So we've got second, any discussion?
I would like to say, I go out to the park 2 times a week. Kids play soccer, and we go out to the park afterward. Since this discussion has come up, I have made a point to ask, every time I'm out there, ask a different parent if they would like a fence. I've not had one person tell me they do want a fence yet. I know there are some people that would prefer to have a fence there, but I personally don't see the need for it. With it being open, you can see the park, the playground from the fields. I personally don't want it.
If you have a green chain link fence, you're still going to be able to see straight through it. I know myself personally, as a parent, I would love to have the fence. You just have a couple of benches inside. You're able to sit down, actually breathe for a second, and not worry about your child ending up in the middle of a soccer game. Because mine would do that. That's just how they are. And I know, you want to go ahead and say your reasoning?
Well, it's the kids, especially the kids that are handicapped. You know, you bring them out there, they'll take off, they'll bolt anywhere. And it's hard to keep up with when you've got the grandparents out there watching the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the kids get loose, it's going to be awful hard. It's going to be scary sometimes when they hit the road or hit around the other side of the pool. You don't know. I think the chain link fence would be good for these kids, especially the ones that are special ed, that could be contained inside the fence line where the parents and grandparents and their kin could see. So I'd like to see this fence put up.
And we're not talking about a fence that's just only the playground. It will go up to the tree line, close to the shelter that's there. There'll be a gate at the shelter, so you can come in that way. There'll also be 2 gates where the existing walkways are, and there'll be another big gate so they can get in and mow. So.
Well, I'm just concerned about the aesthetics of our park is beautiful, and putting a fence up, to me, it's going to take away from that beauty. And I haven't had anybody that's come up to me and said, hey, we need you to put a fence up. And
I've had several people that have said specifically that they do not go to that park at all because there's not a fence.
There's no protection out there. Yeah, you got to.
And I've asked people too, and I've had maybe 3 people tell me they don't want one. Everyone else I've talked to said that they want it. And most of them are absolutely, yes, I want this fence.
I think a couple of points when looking at the legal requirement, two considerations that I had for it.
Right.
Looking at the legal requirement and whether or not we are legally obligated to put in a fence around that area. And the town manager looked into that for us and determined that the spacing that we have between the parking lot exceeds that legal requirement, so we don't have the legal requirement. And then additionally, we are incurring a cost of, if we do the chain link fence, of $16,600. Whether or not there would be any incentive or reduction in insurance costs, and we don't have any of those costs for it. So the lack of the requirement makes the expense, in my opinion, challenging.
This is, when we had the previous Kidzown, there was a fence there. We took down a fence. We should put back a fence.
This should go back. What was the...
And as for the aesthetics, we have a green chain link fence around the pool, which is right beside it. And that green chain link fence is in great shape. Now, for the aluminum chain link fence that is around other areas in the park, it is showing some wear. But the green chain link that has that plasticize on it looks great.
It's got the color to it. I like the color. What's the cost out there at the dog park?
Yeah.
What's the cost of the dog park?
I got a million numbers in my head, I can't remember that. We just paid, I can't remember, I can get it for you, but right off the bat, I'm not sure. I think it was 19,000.
19 and above?
I think that's what it was, I'm just going by memory.
Well, I don't have any problems with the dog park, but I do have a problem with the kids. And the kids in the area, especially at the Lincolnshire Park.
And I will say this as a mother. It is usually the mothers that are out there with the kids. Now, I'm not saying that is across the board, and I know that we have some fathers here that are very involved with their kids and would be out there too. But most of the people that you see out there with their kids and with multiple kids are mothers, and they're there by themselves, and they're trying to watch multiple kids. And this is for, the playground is for young children. This is not the aqua park that is primarily for teenagers. You know, this is something, you have a 2-year-old walking around playing on the playground, and I don't know how many 2-year-olds you've been around, but they can disappear really quick.
You're right.
And so can other people that have other needs, such as autism. I mean, I know they have the,
That's right.
what's the, they have it through the sheriff's office,
Project Lifesaver.
Project Lifesaver, because they're known to wander.
And as a foster parent, I love all kids, and no matter what, in reference to these issues. And one is autism. I wanted to bog out into a road or something, or let them run up to somebody and start hanging on to them. That's how some of these autistic kids are. But y'all gotta realize, if we're all fighting for the kids and stuff, and sports, why can't we have something for the kids in the kids zone that's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old? And I mean, you gotta give them something.
Yeah, I'm thankful my kids are already over the bolting stage. But there is definitely an age where they're gone.
The only challenge that I have with that is just from traveling to different areas and seeing other parks, and being in bigger cities. It's not very frequent that you do see a park with a fence around it. It's not saying that's not necessary.
I know when I
However, a
was in
fence
Richmond.
shouldn't abdicate the parents' responsibility for
That's what
monitoring.
That should be
When I
because
was in
parks are
Richmond,
very- parks are-
The park that I went to with
City
my
parks,
daughter
you don't need a fence.
had a fence around it with a gate, and I thought that that was amazing. Because I was there with a 2-year-old. Now, I only had one at the time, but I could breathe a little bit easier.
Abdicate?
All right, any more discussion? So I got a motion, so, all in favor of putting a fence up?
Second.
Yes, it is.
I second.
Yeah. All in favor of putting a fence up at Kidzown, stay so by saying aye.
I
All opposed, stay so by saying nay.
Nay.
You'll have to roll call that, okay?
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna go roll call. We're gonna start with Councilmember Beasley,
Nay.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Nay.
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 They just put it on me? Well, I've been very open and honest on how I feel. I think kids should be watched by their parents. I think we spent approximately $250,000 on a park that we're going to close in with a fence, and I do not think it's necessary, so I'm going to be a nay.
I'll bring it back up.
Bring it back to it.
I'm adamant that we need this fence.
The next manager day is going to give us an update on the shade sales for Kidzown.
Okay, I'll be the first to tell you, when it comes to shade, structures, and we have struggled a little bit over that. Really trying to get a definitive direction on how council wants to proceed. We've looked at the idea of covering the big slide. It's actually got the rainbow glass at the top, and the cost of those structures exceeded 6 figures. We've looked at a number of options, and we are absolutely still struggling a little bit, but you've got in your packet a permanent structure. We could probably take it down in the winter time and would help extend its life, but for a 12 by 12, just the material only is $6,000. A 20 by 20 is estimated at $10,000. We have, and I'm just throwing options out there, but we have a couple of tables that were down in the lower parking lot across from the Painted Peak Brewery in the parking lot. We moved those up there. We can also install umbrellas on those. We're just really struggling over just knowing what you want there, what exactly you want. There's so many options out there. An 8 by 8 tent is obviously going to be per event, then you have to take it down. But a permanent structure, the type of material necessary, I mean, you're looking at the cost right there, and it's a pretty competitive cost. So I hate to be redundant from a month and a half, 2 months ago, but just a little more clarity maybe.
Okay. So just something else we need to kind of discuss and figure out.
I hate to not be able to produce for you, but unfortunately we struggle with it.
No, I'm not mistaken, I was the one that brought those up, and the initial thought was to keep some shade on the slides. I know the material was supposed to not get hot, but last summer it was hot. And just to provide some shade, because it is an open area, I did not imagine it would be as expensive as that. But we're finding everything's more expensive.
Well, we'll keep looking, and if any of council finds a structure on the net or just that you're interested in, let me know, and we'll absolutely evaluate it.
There's just one piece of equipment that you were thinking of covering, right?
Yeah, and the surrounding area, the slide.
Yeah, the big slide or the little big?
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, we were unfortunate. We couldn't find a company that needed it. That's 21 foot the top of the rainbow glass.
Right.
We couldn't find, I'm not saying it's not out.
Right.
We'll absolutely keep looking.
Yeah, we see if there's something feasible.
Yeah. We can also build a structure similar to the structures that are up there now, just small, like 8 by 8. Of course, it'd be another fall, early winter project, but if that'll help, just a shelter.
I think with the new seating that's up there, I think that helps with giving an area in the shade. So I think we can table it for the time being. Keep looking at other options.
Sure.
Okay. I'm not going to push the issue at the moment.
Thanks, Todd.
Yes.
Next, we have a soccer complex, sports complex discussion. Vice Mayor Patrick.
Yes, seeing that I wasn't here last month when some of this discussion took place, I just got a few things that I need to say. And I first want to start out by saying that I'm not in any way opposed to building soccer fields, baseball fields, football fields, whatever type of field we may want to build to give our youth an opportunity to play, practice, and have fun. I just disagree on how we get there. As a matter of fact, 15, 16 years ago, there was a group of us that were looking into trying to build some soccer fields. Second, I don't intend for anything that I have to say to be personal in any way. I just need to state some facts and verbalize some frustration. On the evening of last month's meeting, about 9:30, I started receiving text messages from people asking me why we had voted to kill the sports complex. And I was stunned. I didn't have a response. Someone then sent me the mayor's interview, and I was floored. I was been informed we were going to discuss building soccer fields, but that was it. Over the last month, I've had numerous people come up to me and ask, why did you all kill the sports complex? That's the best idea this town's ever had. I don't have a good answer. And I can't believe that this council voted and jumped right into an engineering report and a meeting with Eastern Sports Management. Where was the vote to kill the sports complex? I did not see that in any of the minutes of the meeting. Mayor, you don't have the ability to unilaterally kill the sports complex. According to our code, the mayor is a non-voting member of town council unless there's a tie, and this is the first one I've ever seen in 11 years. We have spent the last 5 or so years or even more evaluating whether or not to build an indoor sports complex. We've had not 1, not 2, but 3 independent feasibility studies done. And all of these studies have shown that this would be a game changer for our town. This sports complex would generate an additional $3 to $4 million annually to our town. And these studies weren't done by anyone local. We doubted the numbers, questioning them because we were concerned about spending taxpayer dollars. And that's exactly what our job is. And even though not one of us in this room are experts on providing these studies or on running a sports complex for that matter, there were some who doubted it. If I need a plumber, I'll hire a plumber. If I need an electrician, I'll hire an electrician. If I need a feasibility study done, I don't hire a dentist. I hire someone or some company that does that for a living. And that's the same thing when it comes to building and running a sports complex. And that's exactly what we did. We hired 3 different companies to produce an independent feasibility study. And we hired a sports management team, Eastern Sports Management. They own and run several sports complexes around the country. They do this for a living. And yet, last month, this council voted to potentially spend millions of taxpayer dollars without even getting an outside source to see if it would in any way help our town financially. Did anyone think to check with Bluefield? They have a soccer complex. How much is it used? Does it help their economy in any way? If so, how much? How much revenue to the area? We have not 1, not 2, but 3 independent feasibility studies that clearly state that an indoor sports complex would help every citizen in our community, but we doubt it. We have nothing showing us that these soccer fields will help our community financially, and we're okay with it. I understand, Mayor, that you've stated that you can get the Cumberland Plateau, a board on which you sit, behind this. Based on what? I also understand that you're running around getting others to support the soccer fields. And that's great, but where was this effort on the sports complex? At one point, we had a unanimous council and the town manager, as well as not 1, 2, but 3 independent feasibility studies that were supporting the indoor sports complex, yet you never voiced your support with the Cumberland Plateau. And how do I know this? Because last year, Mr. Baldwin, the chairman of the Cumberland Plateau, came before this council to tell us of the different funding agencies that were available to help with the sports complex. We asked him, how do we go about requesting funding? And he said it simply has to be brought up for discussion. And we asked, what do we need to do? He looked directly at the mayor and stated, your mayor sits on our board. So you sat there month after month and were quiet. Mayor, you met with Dr. Brown and I twice, looked us in the eyes, and assured us that you were all in on the sports complex, but did nothing to help. And you stated in your WVBA interview that the sports complex couldn't be sustained. Sustained, we haven't even started it. Now, I know there are concerns about the cost of building this sports complex, so let me address those. We have always had the intention of getting grants to fund the majority of the cost of this project. And we were just getting started on trying to find the funding. On January 11th, 2022, Thompson and Litton completed their preliminary architectural report on the sports complex. This is the document that all funding agencies require before they consider funding any project. The town manager didn't even get a copy of that until May. The sports complex hasn't had enough time to be considered for funding because the annual cycle is not over. We just voted in the fall to give the town manager permission to start looking for the funding, and that was a unanimous vote also, by the way. The public needs to understand that both of these projects are going to require some spending of taxpayer dollars. The indoor sports complex is stated by not 1, not 2, but 3 independent studies will create upwards of 100 private sector jobs and generate $3 to $4 million annually to the local economy. And that's not including any hotel or chain restaurant that would come along as well. And make no mistake, they will come. The soccer fields, as far as we know, will create maybe 1 job, and that would be a town job, and town taxpayers would be funding the salary, retirement, vehicle, etc. of that one person, and it would contribute $0 to the economy. In addition, if we were to hold soccer tournaments, we would end up using our already overworked town employees and pay them overtime, so the net would be a loss to the town. Yet we're all in on the soccer fields. The indoor sports complex is supported by not one, not two, but 3 independent studies, and by an agreement with Eastern Sports Management will guarantee at a minimum a payment to the town equal to the debt service for any money that we would have to borrow or bond. That means, let us say we have to borrow or bond $3 million. For 20 years at say 3% interest. That would make our annual payment for debt service around $200,000. If the tax revenue generated by the sports complex doesn't equal $200,000, Eastern Sports Management would give us the difference. But wait, it even gets better than that. Rural Development, a federal program, has stated that our project qualifies for the program. That means if for some reason Eastern Sports Management were to default on their guarantee, they would step in and make our payment. It's a win-win-win. Yet, we're all in on the soccer fields with nothing to pay for whatever we may have to borrow or bond. This means if we borrow $3 million to build the soccer fields and have a debt service annually of $200,000, it will be paid by our taxpayers. In other words, it's a tax burden to our town. I don't understand. Is this politics? I didn't decide to run for town council to be political. I ran to try to do what is best for this town and all its citizens. Now I realize we have not done a very good job of explaining this project to the public. Hopefully this is a start. People are concerned, rightfully so, about roads, potholes, water lines, stormwater, rising water bills, sewer bills, etc. These problems are only going to continue to get worse as we lose 1% of our population annually, as we have been for the last several decades. How many roads did we pave with an extra $3 to $4 million a year? How many water lines did we replace? How many soccer fields did we build? How many sidewalks did we build? How many sewer lines did we replace? Heck, our town budget is $7.4 million, I think the town manager just said, and which, as we all know, comes from our good citizens' taxes. $3 to $4 million extra dollars a year would increase our budget by 50%. Well, let's say all 3 independent feasibility studies overestimated. Personally, I think they tend to underestimate, but let's say they overestimated. Let's say we only reap $2 million annually. That's still almost a 33% increase in available funds for our budget. And we haven't even discussed the almost $23 million it would bring to Tazewell County. On one hand, we have an indoor sports complex that operates 365 days a year, that people can practice, play, have tournaments in basketball, volleyball, pickleball, wrestling, cheerleading, indoor track, indoor soccer, baseball, softball, and who knows what else. On the other hand, you have 2 soccer fields in which will play soccer, but only when the weather cooperates. We have not 1, not 2, but 3 independent studies that show the indoor sports complex will thrive in Tazewell. But we doubt it, we ignore it, and we try to kill it. Do we have anything that shows us that 2 soccer fields will help in any way other than providing extra fields to play soccer? But we're okay to committing millions of dollars to it? That doesn't make any sense at all to me. Do I know we'll be able to raise the funds to be able to build the indoor sports complex? No, I don't. But we sure as heck need to try. What I do know is that everyone on this council, everyone in this room, and everyone in this town needs to get on the same page and work together as a team and help the town manager to make this happen. We can change the fate of Tazewell. I am very much against killing the idea and the hope for an indoor sports complex. Thank you.
So, Todd, could you paraphrase the email from Jim Baldwin that you received a few months ago about funding agencies?
I'll do my best. There were approximately 5 funding agencies that we had in our original plan we hoped that we could apply to and gather funding. And in one email, all of those funders were alleviated from potentially being qualified for it. That's right.
Okay, so if I'm right to think, if we get less money from grant and funding agencies, we're going to have to increase the amount that we take out in a loan of taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely.
Okay. And two, it wasn't just soccer fields. I had a whole plan to pull Little League out of the swamp that they played in and give them Lincolnshire. So it was not just, it wasn't just a couple of soccer fields that we were.
They've already offered that. They declined it. They didn't want to do that.
There's a whole new board, and I sit on the board, and I can dispute that because they do want to move. And when we had the drawings made up that showed that 3 Little League sanctioned fields could fit. Because it wasn't just I love soccer, it's my sport. It wasn't, something I was, just looking out for soccer people. I was looking out for the baseball kids, I was looking out for our soccer, and you can play soccer and baseball from pretty much March till November anyway. So that was my thought process. When we received that email from Jim Baldwin saying these major funding agencies will not give you money, we decided to take a vector shift. And what we did was, all we wanted to do was send out and get someone to provide some drawings, just to see what would look, nothing on cost, because cost is always the driving factor.
Exactly.
So
Why do we abandon something? He just got started with the paperwork he needs to be going to these funding agencies. So are those every funding agency that's available?
I'm sure there's more out there. They were just 4 or 5 of the major funders that we were counting on. But I was.
So when I talked to Cumberland Plateau 3 weeks ago, I asked the executive director straight up, I said, why did that email come out? And he said, no major funding agency is going to put a $20 million project in a town the size of Tazewell. They just don't do it because they don't even do it in big cities. That's almost verbatim what I was told when I had lunch with them about 4 weeks ago.
I just think until you play travel sports and been involved in it, you don't know the revenue.
Oh, been there, done that. I had a daughter played soccer.
You got to spend money to make money.
I agree.
I'd much rather give it to you for that complex than other things that just don't happen.
So are you saying soccer and baseball wouldn't generate as much revenue as?
Soccer's not going to generate like baseball and basketball. It's not.
And the indoor track.
And the indoor track is true.
And that will open up, other opportunities, for sports.
Just like you said, if you look at East River Mountain up there, they have a couple tournaments a year, but when soccer season's over, it's vacant.
So two things I want to do, just to bring up into the conversation. So with the indoor track, that's actually not going to be in that facility, was not a sanctioned track that you could run track meets on, which was a disadvantage. But for public awareness, in terms of the project, could we reiterate what portion we were expecting from grant money, which portion we were expecting the town's obligation to be, and so we got grant money, and then Eastern Sports Management's position. And I'm afraid of misspeaking the numbers, so if any of my other council members have it. If not, then I'll give what my understanding of it is.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Who said it was not a sanctioned track?
Eastern
Was it a
Sports
200-meter track?
It was Eastern Sports Management. They said it wouldn't be sanctioned when John Lack was here.
For state records.
State meets, not for regular meets, for like state meets.
It can be a flat track, and it can be 200 meters. And it could possibly be still for a state meet, because the state meets were held at Roanoke College, which was a flat track.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I had done when I did some investigating for the council about schools that would attend and that type of thing. Probably would be packed every weekend in the winter with 20 to 30 schools. The only opportunity that we even have to run is to go to Rona one time in January. Otherwise, our kids had to load up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to Lynchburg and spend right around $600, $700 entry fee. Well, some schools can't do that. And from Blacksburg back this way, and I know that whole area, schools want to come to somewhere that's close and feasible. And you know, I guess the thing that I get tired of, all I ever hear, it's all about the kids. Well, I've been teaching 37 years, and I'm still waiting, it's all about the kids. And with some of the comments you made tonight about kids, what are we really doing for them? I'm sorry if I'm being loud, I coach, I can't help it. That's just me. But I just think that you're taking away a lot of opportunities for these kids to really excel. Because I'm not thinking about my kids, I'm thinking about my grandkids.
So, in terms of that, so where that was drawn from was specifically from a statement that John Lackler said. So that's not something that I came up with. In terms of the debt, like that's the question that I would like to pose to council, is if our responsibility at the onset was to utilize our ARPA money that we have and then borrow approximately $5 million, what amount of money is an appropriate amount of money to go spend on a public-private partnership? Is it $5 million? Is it $1 million? We have $300,000 in purchasing the Raby line. We have another 90 plus in tearing it down. So is giving them the location a great head start?
Yeah.
But is our responsibility to our taxpayers to put them in a situation with a business plan that we do have feasibility studies. However, within those feasibility studies, I have several challenges with the statements that they have made. And due to confidentiality with, like the ones that Eastern Sports Management paid for, you know, you can't discuss those here. But, so ultimately that's my question. Because what it comes down to, I think, we don't think it's a bad idea in order to have a sports facility for our youth. I got kids that are growing up here. I want them to have all the opportunities. I ran indoor track underneath you, sir. So I want them to have those opportunities as well. However, in my position here, the challenge that we're faced with is determining how much debt a town should be able to take on. If we don't have the grant agencies, then our responsibility is going to increase. And the debt service payment on $5 million, I think over the course of 25 years, was about $325,000 a year. For 25 years. So should the people that we partner up with pick up and leave if it's not viable or they lose interest, then we would be held on the hook for that money. And that's a concern of mine. So that's my question, is what's the appropriate amount? Is it 1? Is it 5? Is it 10?
If you go back to the YMCA, we have those same concerns, and those are plausible, and I'm glad you're doing due diligence. But I also think that there's an opportunity, and just being concerned and not moving forward is different than being concerned and being diligent. And I would just hate to see, y'all know my position, I would hate to see, I don't know of another multi-million-dollar company that's wanting to come to Tazewell, and I hope I'm wrong, I don't foresee it happening again in my lifetime. And I want it for the kids too. I mean, but I want it for our community. I mean, I want everyone in this building and everyone in this community to know that their property, their house is worth something because of what's happened in this community and I had a discussion with someone earlier today, and I don't think this thing's going to be a savior to our community, but I think it could be like a plaza that has a real anchor store to it, right? Once that anchor leaves, everybody leaves. But once you have a solid anchor, then other businesses come. The man from Pinnacle told the council when I was on council that the minute you break ground, a hotel will break ground and be fighting you for it. So continue with those concerns, but why stop short? You know, I would rather take the pain of doing the diligence, staying the course, and working, and failing, than the shame of quitting before you even gave it the full opportunity that it had.
4 out of 5. You know how many people told us no for the YMCA? You know how many people want us to build a little small building or a metal building? If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? I'm just saying, maybe it doesn't happen, but maybe it still has some legs. And I just hope you'll really consider what this could mean to the kids, but to your budget. There's no way that, listen, we need a wastewater treatment plant. It's 10 million. There's no ROI on that. But what if you get something that brings in an ROI to help offset that? Because you're going to have to put that thing in anyway. And it was 10 million a year ago, and now what is it? 18 million? 17 million?
That's it.
So wait, water went up, sewer went up. It's going to go up again. Unless we all put it flush in the toilet. What are you going to do? So if it's not this, y'all got to come up with some type of an economic plan, because we need help. This community needs help. These businesses that are about to open up, these businesses that just opened up, I don't think any of them would disparage or be upset at the fact that you did something that in the first year of it opening brought 700,000 people into this community. And even if it's a dream, even if there's no way you can do it because the dollars just don't make sense in the end, I mean, you're the Jack Murray of the new council. You're the numbers guy, and I love and appreciate that you're up there. But man, we gotta have vision too. And I'm not saying you don't have vision, but you gotta think about what could be possible. Because what can happen if people start coming to our town? Nobody comes in here and says this town's a dump. They all talk about how beautiful it is. It'll bring people to this town, which means supply goes down and demand goes up. There are so many awesome opportunities. Just don't quit the narrative. There's too much opportunity. And 2 or 3 soccer fields. I'm sorry, Mayor, I met you at Travel Soccer in Asheville, North Carolina. That's the first time I ever laid eyes on you. And that weekend, you probably spent $600 or $700, and I spent about $1,000 because I had more kids with me. People do it, they spend it, we're crazy. It's a $15 billion industry in the United States right now. It's one of the top 10 fastest growing industries in the United States. People, they skip vacations to take their kids to travel ball. I mean, this is a real deal. And yeah, we're a small town, and maybe 20 million isn't the number that's going to make it happen, but what if? You haven't talked to every agency. There could be an opportunity where it could happen. So just don't stop short. I plead you, don't stop short.
So where's the line in the sand? Do we just keep?
I don't know, but is it right away with the first 3 no's? Is it 4 no's and you stop?
Well, we still, Todd, tell me if I'm wrong, we still have applications out there for funding for the indoor sports complex.
But we can't ask for funding for 2 different projects. We can't ask somebody to get money for a soccer field when we're trying to build a sports complex.
We've not asked for funding. Last month, we voted to give Todd the authority to put an ad out for drawings. Is that right? It's not dead. We still have opportunity to get funding.
Good luck getting funding when you don't have a council that wants it, and puts it on the air that it's dead.
Trust me, we want it if we have the
You
money.
need to let the public know. No, you gotta want it, and go find the money, and then it will come to you. Saying, yeah, somebody wants to just bring me $15 million, yeah, good luck. I mean, it's work. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Most people don't.
And we haven't even given him a chance to exhaust everything that's available. That's all I'm saying.
You build it, they'll come.
Respectfully, I do want to ask this question, because I agree. I go to the YMCA every day. I love the Y. And the floors look great. It smells a little strong. But we do know that it does require external support in order to support the YMCA. The sports complex and the feasibility study, one identifies that individuals that want to come to these things are used, one states that you got to have at least 2 hotels right there. And our hotels are in the county. We do have one in town. But if the traction is not gained, there is a risk, and it's stated specifically in the feasibility study, that towns could be in a position where they need to subsidize the sports complex in order for it to retain viability. So, in my perspective, we would be in a position where we go borrow a whole lot of money, and then, if it is not viable, or if it's fledgling in its first years, they can hold their hat out and say, hey, we need a hand. So as my responsibility as a council member, that if we do not, if I read those words that are not written by me, and I don't view that as a threat, then I'm not doing my due diligence. And that's the risk that I think that we could potentially run into. Not by what I say, by what the feasibility study states.
The feasibility also says that 700,000 people will come here, and that they don't foresee that. So, you know, there's a million reasons why not to do it, and that's the, no, I don't mean to be offensive, but that's the easy way out, is to pick at all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And that's why most places don't do it. But there's always a way through if you look for it. And if you look for it, it's still not there, then okay. But we're 7, 8 years into this, and now 4 people say no, and we're done. Because one councilman doesn't like, and listen, I get your aversion to risk, but there's a risk in not doing this, and I wish you would look at that too. Because you can't afford your wastewater treatment plant right now. You'll never catch up on these roads being paved. There's no vision if you don't have another plan. So at least until another viable plan comes, why not push forward?
Respectfully, if we can't afford $300,000 a year wastewater treatment facility upgrade, and we go into take public money and go into a public-private partnership, and that fails, how am I going to afford that payment and the
You
sewer
don't know
water
that you're
treatment?
going to afford a payment. You haven't said yes to it yet. The dirt's not being built. I'm just saying do the work for the possibility. You're doing this thing before it starts, man. I'm just saying let's give it a go.
Well, if I remember, the Chimera study was very conservative in their estimates, right?
It was 8% off that.
So it's there, and I know I've talked to people that have, talked to the owners of No Off Season that's in the old Magic Mart building, and they have kids coming on a weeknight from an hour and a half away just for practice.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing with this. No matter where I go to, whether it's Tennessee, Fort Brother, or Charleston, you find the same people coming through here, one of those same places. So why not have it? I mean, once again, we would go to American, like, we play in schools. One school gym we play in is worse than Old Junior High. Then we're playing in a little elementary school, like our elementary school. And they got people everywhere. I mean, everywhere, all day. I mean, we'd be there Friday, Saturday night until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Because they don't have enough room for the teams they had that's coming. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, people from Knoxville, I mean, that's inner city. And they're coming from a small town. How do they find Marion to come play basketball? You know? It'll work. It ain't just basketball. So we're willing to take down 7, 8 sports to just 2 sports that you're going to play like a certain time of year. When you have a facility that will go year round and multiple sports every day, it just don't make sense to me. The money's going to come. The money's not really a problem. Because I'm telling you, people are going to come.
I would just ask that the diligence that you've used to protect us from the negative of it, that you put equal energy into looking at the opportunities to consider why it's too early to kill it. Because you don't even know what money you can get yet. You're saying that you can't afford it, but you don't even know what you can get. So at least try.
The challenge, again, ultimately is it comes down to the dollars and cents of it.
Yeah, and it's
So-
exactly. But you don't know how many dollars and cents you're going to get.
We know that we lost 5 major grant opportunities. I don't know how many, but.
And how many years have we been working on this?
How long has he had the paperwork to even apply for them?
3 months.
3 months.
Well, it actually, that 1 year, that is January 22.
Yeah, but by the time you got a hard copy, it went into January 22.
That's the date on the front.
We didn't give you permission until October to go start looking for funding. I
You know,
think it was October.
either one of the projects are great projects. And, I'll proceed forward in the direction of council, just like I have every other project. But I can say that regardless of whether we're building a sandbox or whether we're building a super indoor sports complex that's going to change the economy. Whatever you do, you've got to get 100% behind it, or just don't have a goal. You've got to get 100% behind it. You've got to play the politics in the right direction. So we were denied, you're right, we were denied from 5 funders. I'll assure you it was politics. Been playing it too long. I'll assure you it was politics. But again,
Can you reapply or not? Can you ever reapply?
we never applied the first time. We never did apply.
It was just a filler you put out, right?
Yep.
Have we beat this up enough?
Well, to me, if it's killed, in my mind, there never was a vote, so.
Right, so let's.
If that's what the will of council is, and somebody needs to make a motion, second it, and vote, and then let's move on,
I don't want to.
one way or the other.
I don't want to kill it. My thought on it was that it would be soccer fields in addition to the indoor complex. I was not under the impression it would be a replacement, but I am also not a sports person. I don't know how big things fit into different places. So, yeah, after talking with others, I realized that it wouldn't all fit there. And me personally, I would rather see an indoor sports complex than a soccer field. And if we do have soccer fields, I would like to have them closer to Lincolnshire.
Say that last part again?
I would like to have them closer to Lincolnshire. There's a nice big flat spot right across the road.
So Todd, this didn't have a vote, or what, are we looking for any type of vote, or we just, no one killed the project.
That's exactly what you said.
We were under the assumption that the project was dead once we realized, and I'm pretty sure from talking with Todd.
Well, the last vote this council has made, according to the sports complex, was to move forward. So that's what I'm saying. If we're not moving forward, then we need to have a motion, a second, and a vote. And if that's the decision of the council, then we move on. If it's not, then we need to keep moving forward on the sports complex.
So I do think that we have, before that route is taken, an understanding and agreement of how much debt the town is willing to take on. So if we know that we don't have grant funders, and our portion went from 5 to 8, or 5 to 10.
We can never know that until we ask. At some point, yes, you're exactly right, Councilman Klein. There's going to come a point, say we get 10 million and it's a $20 million project, and we say, that's just too much, we can't do it. But what if we get 17 and it's a $20 million?
So, in terms of something of this scale, what are your thoughts on a public referendum for choosing to allocate taxpayer dollars to a project?
I think the town hall would be great. If that's what you want, then let's find out let's have a town hall.
Because that takes the burden, there's 6 of us here, 7 got the vote tonight.
You were elected for a reason.
Well,
I agree with that. I think we were elected to make tough decisions.
Well, I mean, when I look at public referendums, there's public referendums over parks to the tune of $3 million. We're talking about a $20 million project.
It's not going to be $20 million of taxpayer dollars.
It could be at least half, is what we initially ran in.
Yeah, we don't know that. That's the point. We do not know until he sees what's out there. We have no idea. And that's my point. You're the mayor.
I would like to speak. I signed up to speak in citizens' comments, but since everybody else is
We just let it roll.
may I?
It's pretty cool, absolutely.
Thank you. I want to also offer my support to the utilizing the Rainey property four-way to build the regional sports complex. I see multiple benefits that this complex can provide for our town and its future. We're hearing those, and they're real. I'm also encouraged that our town council our town IDEA, our town manager, and our legal counsel, along with other entities in the town and beyond the town, have done due diligence and concluded the funds are available to the town and they could be used to proceed with the complex. Indoor baseball and softball cages, indoor soccer and football activities, basketball, volleyball, indoor track, wrestling, cheerleading, even pickleball can take place in a sports complex, with many other indoor activities, 365 days a year. The regional sports complex is not an athletic field that would be used by one sport part of the year. The regional sports complex could serve as an economic generator. We've heard that. For years, we've heard that. And we need to give it that opportunity. It would be an economic generator to bring people to Tazewell to participate in these activities, not just in June and July, but year-round. They would shop here, they would eat here, they would spend money in our community and create, we've already heard, $3 to $4 million in economic impact. Let it sink in. Most importantly, and I think we need to remember this too, this sports complex would provide opportunity for our young people, and we've heard a lot about our young people, not only to participate in these activities, but also to provide many of these young people the opportunity to remain in their hometown when they become adults, because there would be more opportunity here. Zach, you got to remember that too. And you got kids coming along. I wish I did. Mine won't have that opportunity. My grandchildren probably won't even have that opportunity. But yours would. And many of the people in here have children and grandchildren who would benefit. Great. Thank you.
You want this list in case anybody else has something to say?
Yeah, if there's people on the list that haven't already spoken.
I would say this too, the vote last month, in my opinion, the information we were provided made it seem like the funding wasn't there. That's the vote last month, in my opinion, was a plan B. We have a plan B out there in case we don't have the funding. By the accounts we had last month, it looked like the funding was not going to be there. If there are still opportunities for funding, then by all means, I think we should seek them. I think if we're going to do the project out there, then the indoor sports complex is the more economic project. But if the funding is not there, we need to reevaluate this as a council, just like Zach said, to evaluate the risk, to see what we're willing to take on and do. But the project, which we have voted on multiple times, is what we desire to do as a town, in my opinion. And in my opinion, that's what we voted on. But we also need to be prepared. If we don't have the funding, what do we do next? And that's what I think the soccer fields would be a good plan B.
Can I say one more thing?
One more, then we're cutting off.
I do respect you all, okay, and I appreciate what you're doing. And Joe, I appreciate what you just said, but this won't work if it's just Todd throw out a bunch of applications. You have to have a council that champions this, a community that's working together to champion this. When y'all asked me to be on the IDA, that's what I thought I was going to be doing, helping you champion this in and around our community as much as possible. But just to say, well, let's just sit back and see what money we get, move on. It's not just going to be tossed to you. They need to see you know, the people that have this money don't just give it to anybody. They want it to where they think it's going to work. And I get having a plan B. I don't think it's a great idea to share that publicly. If we didn't have a plan B with the YMCA, we wanted everyone to know that we were in it. We had our heels dug. We were going to make this thing work. It's super easy to find a million reasons why it won't work. But there's reasons how it could too. But it don't come easy. And if it happens to go and you want help, I will be the biggest champion y'all have, and I will help you the best I can. But to say that you're just going to sit back and just see what money comes in, sorry.
And like Sean shared a little while ago, not only is it why I've been here 14 years, who would have ever thought that we'd be out of debt? And that's, we are debt free. Nobody would have ever thought that. How many small YMCAs are out of debt?
And they do have a lot of support. Like Zach said, they have had a lot of support and funding. They can't make it on membership alone. But this other company is a for-profit. He's not.
Yeah.
They want to come here because they think their model will work. And I get the private, listen, I've been in private business for 25 years. It doesn't rub me great that somebody can just come in and get a free gift. But that's the way it works now. The only people that get these are doing that. So we can look at that and say, not my favorite thing, but that's the way it works now, or not.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing? Back in 2005 to late 2011, correct me what you were, I used to coach his daughter, used to coach a travel team. And we put on basketball tournament, after basketball tournament for years to fund our travel, because traveling to different places costs money. You have entry fee, you have gas, you have to feed these kids. We had carfuls of kids that went. And when we started putting our own on, there was one that we made over 20 grand alone. 3 gyms. We were in the high school, we were in the middle school, and we had the old junior high school. 3 gyms, and we made 20 grand that year. And that was without even having proper facilities to have a concession. We only had concession in the middle school. We could not have it in the high school because there was no place to have it there. And we couldn't have it in the old junior high. So we could have made a lot more. But every year we would have several tournaments to fund the basketball boosters. We would do it for our traveling so that we could all go as a team and not ask the parents for entry fees. And that was way over, what, 15 years ago? 20 grand in one weekend we made. What could you make in today's dollars? And that was with 3 gyms. We had to limit the number of teams because we only had 3 gyms and people had to travel for 3 gyms. And people came from all over. They came from all over. This can work. And as for paying for it, well, if we can make $20,000 on a person who's not even trained to do this, I just did it because I made contacts when we would go traveling. I would talk to the other coaches. Hey, we want to have one. It was like, you come to ours, I'll go to yours. And we would show up at theirs. So it can work. Now you hire somebody who knows how to run these things, who knows what you can make. So I think before you all discard that you can't make money on this, you got to understand that some of us have done it. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. It can be done, but you got to come together and want it. Because that is a game changer for this town. Because those roads are not going to get paved, and potholes and everything was not going to get done if 1% of our population is dying every year or leaving. We have less tax base. We need something that's going to create some revenue. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Because we do need to start going. All right.
Well, one thing, I heard that he actually brought up the hotels. People travel all over for the Bristol race. I worked in these hotels. They travel from everywhere, state to state to state. And these And from Bristol all the way to Princeton, West Virginia, these hotels are packed up. So, you know, if you build these facilities, like he said, you know, the people are gonna come. I've lived out Grattan and seen people from Canada for the last 4 years. Back of the Dragon brings it in, so why can't this, you know, facility bring it in? You know, the Back of the Dragon is a great thing for this community, and it has eyes on this community. People from everywhere. I've traveled all over, lived at, you know, different places. We need something that's gonna be marquee to our community. We need something that the kids are gonna look up and say, that's our facility. You know, you look up at Graham, they take pride in their football program and, you know, win the state and things like that. They have pride in their community. We need something that these kids are gonna look up to and have and be, you know, centralized, that we can bring the energy to us. We don't always have to go and be on other people's turfs. So, you know, like I said, you know, you build it, they'll come.
All right, I'm moving on. Oh, one more.
Well, I think that having a facility like that in our community is a #1 priority that we need to look at. I've got grandkids, they'll utilize it. I've got nieces and nephews, they'll utilize it. The kids around here have to go too many places to get what we can give them. What we need to do is go ahead and be the type of persons that will go ahead and give to our community, give to the kids. It'll rebound and come right down back to us. The money that it's gonna take to get it started, you gotta look at all the other things that this facility will generate. Now, I've heard a whole lot about how much it costs, what if it doesn't make it, but the thing we need to look at is a positive attitude in it. You know, we see how much it's gonna cost, then how much will this facility generate to help us out. We gotta look at it as if it is gonna work. The community doesn't know anything about this. People in the room right here, they have an opportunity to come and hear it, talk it a little bit. It needs to be put out to the community in a better way so that more people can hear what we want, what we would like to do, and let the community join in. I think that'll work, but right now, the people don't know what's what. I've heard a few people talk about, well, they're supposed to be putting a sports complex out there. You know, it's a few people. Let them know what's going on, what we would like to do, why we would like to do it, who will benefit. All the things that could benefit should be talked about more than the things that are negative about it.
I also have something to say. I moved to Tazewell in '94, and I'm from McDowell County, and I still go home. Okay, for example, I go down there, we ride ATVs on the weekend, right? We go back in the mountains. I've met 3 or 4 groups from New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina. They all come to enjoy that. And you know, who's to say that, you know, when you put something in, it will draw people here. Just like we have nothing down there anymore. It's sad. And I'm afraid that the way this is looking, it's going to be just like where I came from. And I'd like to see Tazewell build it because it's home. It's become home to me. And the thing about it is you don't know till you get out and start talking to those people like I have, because I like to talk. And we're back there in those mountains, And we go back there and we stop and we talk to everybody. I'm like, hey, where are you from? You know, they're like, oh, we're from New York. You know, we're from the Bronx. We're from New Jersey. I mean, it just gives, if you do this, they will eventually be drawn to it. It's like a moth to a flame. You know, it will happen. You just have to give it a chance.
And put your heart in it.
Right.
No half steps.
Everything's about heart.
Yeah, we were talking about the 1%. I'm the 1%. I left. I had to leave because there's no work here.
Right.
I was driving 2 hours a day to get to work and then coming back here. I left. I now live in Roanoke. That's what it takes to have a good living. I watched the sports complexes up there. They succeed. They're like tech games. There's flocks and flocks of people. All the hotels are booked. It's worth it. I'm telling you.
As a previous student at Roanoke College, it was a private institute, and I used to work on the team that would help get the funding for such activities as the Career Center. And as a private institute, they didn't receive a lot of state funding, so we called on their alumni, so basically the Roanoke College community to help build it up. If it got out to the public the way it should be advertised, and the community comes together, it wouldn't be too much for us to make the money that could really have the potential to let these children know that their futures are as bright as we tell them it is. We can't keep telling these kids this is coming and get their hearts and hopes set up on something when they can all have it at home instead of going out an hour away, 2 hours away, 3 hours away. It's wear and tear on you, the kids, the mental health, the physical health. Let's go on ahead and have it at home. The community would be more than happy if we reached out to them and asked for the help that we need, along with the funding elsewhere. And sometimes instead of looking out, you can always look back home.
Okay, one more, sorry. I'll just say that as a new restaurant owner, I would be so excited to think that we would have, you know, a full restaurant of people from out of town, and we could give them the experience that we want to. You know, we recognize that Tazewell will come out and support us, but obviously our restaurants are very rarely completely full, and I think that something like this would be a huge game changer for those of us with local businesses. Amen.
Not only that, just look over the last 20, 25 years. What have we added? Magic Mart's left. We don't have anywhere to shop clothes-wise, shoes.
People are leaving.
We're done.
People are leaving. You got to drive over an hour for anything. Let's have something here.
I live in Swords Creek. I opened business over here because this was a better community to do it in.
Okay, I'm not trying to be rude, but we really got to move on because it's getting late. We have some people that are still on the agenda. But I think we don't need to vote on anything from what I understand, if we're motion on anything. So miscellaneous,
So are we continuing pursuing the sports complex?
Diane?
Yes.
Sure. Yes. Seems to be what the consensus is.
Can we now get a vote?
Our stance hasn't changed.
We'll make that motion.
I'll make the motion, make the move to the next session, next month. Reference to this.
Why did I go next one?
All right, no more. We need to.
The last vote this council had was to pursue the sports complex.
Yeah, we're still business as is. I think we're still pursuing the sports complex.
But that's the direction we're giving our town managers to pursue the sports complex.
Next month.
No, it's now. I mean, we gotta tell him.
Well, we gotta have some people come in here to have their defense on this issue. I love to have this, okay? I love to have this sports complex. But daggone it, we need to get our roads and our water lines fixed for these senior citizens that's out here day by day trying to live on money each month. Hey,
Council.
we call this sports I'm talking right now. Sports complex is a great thing to have. I'd be glad to fight with you. I'd be glad to get out here on the streets and beg and talk to these people. But damn, kids are kids. Kids from 1 up to 6 or 7 years old in a playground zone, I'm for it. Kids or teenagers that's playing football, basketball, baseball, anything on sports, I'm for it. But don't look at toward me in reference I don't want it, but I do. But damn it, we need to get our roads fixed and our water lines put in here because we've been in there since the 60s. And don't say it's not, oh God, don't even bring it up. That's how I'm putting it right now. I'd love to have a sports complex, Mr. Brown, Mr. King, I'd love to have it. I'd love to get out there and coach with you. But damn, we got to look at these people that's 70 or 80 years old that's trying to make a living each month. Now you show me a different way. Show me a different way on these elderly people. Do you care about them? When I played in a cow pasture. Our bases were cow patties.
Well, that's the problem with Tazewell now, sir. You know, we're still stuck in those cow pastures.
Well, that's right, we are stuck in those cow pastures. That's right, we are stuck in those cow pastures.
But when, you know, calm down, sir.
I'm calming down.
So when you come down to it, sir, this is
well,
why.
let's move on, get this over with.
Thank you.
The roads were busted a decade ago.
No, it's still going to have to fix
That $4 million project where y'all built onto the industrial park. I mean, y'all fixed one piece of road. Y'all added 2 lanes.
All right, hey, we gotta stop, we gotta move on, this is taking way too long. So, are we gonna make a motion or vote on anything?
What?
I don't want to make a motion.
Correction, that the last vote that we have, that was from October,
Then,
confirming this,
So
was
that-
for him to proceed. So that's, I think the town manager needs to know what we want him to do. They were telling him to proceed.
Well, I'm a
Yes.
nervous wreck
So we're gonna move to the new business section. See if we can get some good conversations going here. Todd, the mowing services at Lincolnshire Park.
Okay, let's talk about mowing at Lincolnshire Park. You know, I was hoping you'd come tonight to tell you I had some good news, and we had 3 meetings, but we give a test before we can hire them, and we still only have 2 meetings right now. So it's amazing. It used to be just as short as 5 years ago at $7.50 minimum wage. We could put an ad out, and we'd get 30, 40 applicants. Not anymore, it's gone. So y'all are very much well aware of the struggles we're having with cutting grass. So, the biggest area that I politically get hit over is the cosmetics of Lincolnshire. If Lincolnshire is not looking good, council hears about it, I hear about it, and unfortunately right now, I'm struggling in Lincolnshire. I got 2 full-time employees out there trying to get an aqua park, trying to get a pool, trying to get a splash pad, and I'm drowning. So I did this, last time I did it was back in 2014. I can tell you that the cost back in 2014 when we did it was a little, almost $6,000 the entire town.
For the summer?
A week.
A week, I was gonna say.
The cost, the bids came in, the bid packets are in there, but the low bid per week is $4,999.99. Our present cost, and keep in mind, we live up to the legacy of local government. These for-profit companies are a whole lot more efficient than we are, but our present cost is $29,000 a week in cutting grass just in Lincolnshire, and that's broke down in here. So that's our cost. The rates, we use VDOT rates, we use loaded hourly rates, which are FICA, Pretty simple math, the math is right there. My recommendation is that we take the funds out of line item 001, 035, 4011, which has more than enough to get us through this physical year. We let this contract until November, and I will bring you a budget amendment later on in the next physical year on how to pick up the difference.
Has there been any progress in getting the inmates to help you?
We've tried. Actually, Mr. Fox has got good connections, and he tried to make some calls. It's not reliable either.
I had an employee that was gonna work in the Delinquent.
If I had options, my hands are tied. It is Adam, he's ready to start tomorrow.
So you vote?
I'm sorry?
You need a vote?
Yes, sir.
So move.
I said, wait a minute, hold on. What are they looking? Another good.
Then what's good, second motion?
Yes, second, then we'll go to
Motion,
discussion.
I'll second.
All right, so any discussion?
Now discussion, yeah.
Are they gonna be tested for drugs or anything?
Oh, no, their insurance policy carries they're a contractor.
They're an independent contractor.
They're getting paid contract labor, so we don't have any liability. They have an insurance policy that outlines in the specs that are in your quotation.
That would cover them.
Absolutely.
And the citizens.
Absolutely. Yeah. The front half, by the way, is every 7 days. Everything from the Aqua Park forward is every 7 days. Which includes your soccer field, everything. Everything in the back, from the Aqua Park toward the back and all the way around the lakes every 21 days.
So do you need a vote to we're still in discussion, for, what was the motion, to use Adams or?
To use the low bid, to accept the low bid, $49.99.
Gotcha. So all in favor for using the low bid to move forward to grass cutting in Lincolnshire, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right. Motion carries.
Okay, the next one on there, I found out today that Giles County, of course I emailed that out, took a picture and sent it to y'all.
Before we go, because we didn't do the
Work session.
work session, do we want to go into this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah, I've got to get it. I'm losing ground there too. So, the way the bonus program works, we've got it in your packet. I'm not going to be redundant and go through it word for word. I'll answer any questions you got. But it is not a bonus. I want to clarify that. It is not a bonus that would disrespect existing employees. It is a pay advance, which is what most of these places are doing. So we brought our salaries up to competitive rates, which y'all are well aware of. So the next marketing strategy for us is to offer to attract different positions needed in EMS by offering a lump of money up front that would be reduced from your annual salary per payday. So, in other words, if there's an employee looking to go somewhere and he look at downtown and say, wow, I can buy that car, that's that down payment on that house, I can get that $5,000 in the first 6 months, I'm going there. They're paying the same rate that every other entity's paying, they're very competitive, and I get some money up front. It's the same thing Carillion's doing, it's the same thing Giles County, matter of fact, they're at $10,000 right now.
So what happens if they leave?
That's all in there, all those.
It says they have to stay for a minimum of a year.
And then it gets
You have to stay.
If
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, and there's sections in here that cover if you leave within 6 months, or cover if you leave after 6 months. The only thing that's lacking in this contract is some teeth. We'll worry about that later. I'll work with Brad to put some teeth in it. But again, I am struggling to get employees at all levels, and they're leaving me mainly because we do transport.
Do you anticipate needing to use this tool for other departments?
So far, we're doing okay. The police department's got 2 in the academy, getting ready to put 3 in the academy. We're struggling, but it's very attractive and it doesn't cost anything. So it's not an additional amount of money above, so it doesn't disrespect the employees that are already there. All right, so that was a big concern. I think it was a misconception. People were like, well, why are you giving them a bonus when I've been here 10 years? Well, it's not that way. We're just giving them a chunk of money up front to sustain the department. That's what we're struggling. Matter of fact, I'm talking with VML right now to look at alternatives of doing drug testing at part-time levels as long as you're not driving. That's how tight things are getting.
So you need a vote just to move forward with the EMS Sign?
Actually, it's probably more administrative and it's within the existing budget, but it would be nice for y'all to be able to say this is what we're doing. So yeah, if you don't care to vote, it's an administrative thing.
I would make a motion that, well, didn't we? No, sorry, yeah, I'm confused here. Yeah.
Second, any discussion? All right, all in favor of letting Todd move on with the EMS sign-on bonus, stay so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, motion carries. Next, set a public hearing for a special exception permit request for Airbnb at 999 Riverside Drive for June 13, 2023. That's 7:15 p.m.
Okay, section C, under new business, I have a letter I sent to the council, Todd, and there's a map right after that letter that shows the location. She's going to use the backyard for parking, so we covered that in planning commission. We went through the 9 steps to go through, send it on to y'all. We just need a vote to set a public hearing for next month. So it gives me
An Airbnb.
Gives me time to send the adjoining landowners certified letters, them to come to the public hearing.
All right, so we've already got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of setting the public hearing for the special exception permit request for Airbnb at 999 Riverside Drive for June 13, 2023 at 7:15 p.m. Stay so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, motion carries. Next, approve application for new business and commercial area and development overlay district at Dumper Drive.
The reason we have to go through this is it's an overlay district. We sent this through planning commission. We don't need a public hearing for it, but it is looked at through the planning commission and it's sent on back to y'all. The last page, the second page in the new business D shows a map area we're going to use to sell portable storage buildings and utility trailers. You're a blank there. This is not storage buildings permanent. This is the kind of took in the backyard.
Right.
I'd like to echo again for Chris, it has been evaluated thoroughly through the planning commission. And because it's an overlay, it just brings it to the higher governing body.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you all for sitting through this meeting.
Yeah.
You earned it.
All in favor of approving the application for new business and commercial area and development overlay district Dumper Drive, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right, motion's approved. Thank you guys again for waiting.
Thank you guys.
It got a little squirrely there for a little while. Tends to happen about once a year. All right, so review fees for aqua park, pool, kayaks, and paddle boards.
Okay, I just want to let the council know we're getting ready to pop off a great big advertisement campaign. I've talked to Vanessa and myself, the mayor, Vanessa, other staff members. We'll be doing Facebook shots on everything, trying to get the community wound up about all the different activities we've got. We've got 2 new floats, hopefully coming in a couple of weeks for the aqua park. It's going to be a continuous pattern, by the way. Those things have a life expectancy of about 6 years, and you might love them. So,
What year are we coming into?
I think it's about 5 maybe.
Yeah, because it was right before.
That's right.
So we're real excited about it, but all the fees, we're not Ms. Thomas will be running the pool area again. Just to let you know, we match her prices at the aqua park. And the reason for it, I don't want people leaving her coming to the aqua park because we're 50 cents cheaper. She's paying this. Actually,
So the prices are the same as they were last year, right?
yeah, I mean, she has not got me her food schedule, but everything else, the activities.
For hours, yes, and I'd say, I think it was a good show last year when we kept the price and included the aqua park with the pool.
Right.
I think we got a lot more people by doing that instead of charging two different prices, or two different fees.
One consideration I had on the pool hours, I don't know if we can influence this or who's really setting it, but in talking with some other adults in town at work, they're saying that the hours during the week, I think they end, I think it's listed in there, they end, it ends during the week at 5:15. So if you're working at 9 to 5, you can't get to the gym, get to the pool, during the week. I would.
One of the reasons that is set for that time is because swim team has practice Monday through Thursday.
You didn't need a vote or anything on that?
No, I just wanted to let you know where they're at.
Is that like every night of the week,
It's Monday through Thursday.
Okay. During the week?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it's available for rent after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, are we done?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so next, I'm going to be reading a resolution designating the third Saturday in June 2023 as Juneteenth. Whereas 14% of the population in Tazewell County were slaves in 1830, and whereas very few slaves were set free by their masters or successfully brought their freedom in Tazewell County, and whereas President Abraham Lincoln's issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, did not end slavery in Virginia and only became effective in the Commonwealth with the enactment of Chapter 103 of Title 30 of the Code of Virginia in 1873. And whereas news of freedom for enslaved Americans did not reach each state on the same date, and each state has its own account of this important announcement, and whereas Juneteenth, or June 19th, 1865 is recognized as the date on which General Gordon Granger, upon arriving in Galveston, Texas, issued General Order Number 3, notifying that the last enslaved Americans of their new legal status, and whereas Juneteenth is observed by many African Americans and others as a special time of celebration, and they credit the survival of their forebears to faith in God, perseverance, hope, and triumph of the human spirit. And whereas all people in the town of Tazewell, without regard to race, ethnicity, or origin, creed, religion, and culture, share a common destiny and a desire for freedom and the determination to preserve our freedoms and extend these benefits to people abroad. And whereas the 19th of June is recognized as a federal and state holiday, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council for the Town of Tazewell, Virginia, that the date of June 19th will always be recognized as Juneteenth, and that the 17th day of June in 2023 and the third Saturday in June in subsequent years thereafter be designated and commemorated as Juneteenth in the Town of Tazewell. And that the council recognizes the suffering caused by the enslavement of generations of African Americans and calls for reconciliation among all citizens in the town, and that the mayor call upon the people of the town to reflect upon the significant roles and many contributions made by African Americans to the town of Tazewell, to the county, and to the region throughout history and today, and to celebrate this day with appropriate activities and events that honor this rich legacy, and that the council post the designation of this day on the town's website. I hereby certify my capacity as mayor of the town of Tazewell, Virginia, that the foregoing resolution was duly adopted at the regular meeting of the town council for the town of Tazewell, Virginia on May 9, 2023 on a vote of, so I need to get a motion to approve. Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, stay so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, stay so by saying nay. On a vote of 6 in favor and 0 against, I further certify that the foregoing is true and correct copy of the resolution adopted by the Town Council for the Town of Tazewell, Virginia at such meeting. enter this resolution this 9th day of May, 2023. All right, Todd. Delinquent tax and business license fee discussion.
All right, I know everybody's gonna be upset, but I'd like to table that to the next meeting, if that's okay.
All right. I'm sure you'll get no complaints. So miscellaneous, we got 2 recommendations for the IEDA. One, Mr. Justin Takish, and one, Ms. Tara Spivey. So I need a motion.
Separate motions, or can we do them together?
You can do them together, it's fine.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving Justin Takish and Tara Spivey for the IEDA, stay so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, stay so by saying nay. All right. We've already heard from everybody that's on the list. Any council member comments? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adjourn, stay so by saying aye. All opposed, stay so by saying nay. Motion